Jesus Christ!
I'm Scott Davis. We like to go fast at the track, any place, anywhere, anytime. Anytime we find a Christmas tree, we're ready to play or go to the road course and rip it up.
Hey everybody, this is the first episode of Track Shaker Legends, a new video series where we hear interesting and inspiring stories of people doing awesome things in the world of grassroots motorsports. Today I'm in Concord, North Carolina to hear the story of my friend Scott Davis. He's as hardcore of a track enthusiast as they come. He does track days, autocross, and drag racing, all in his home-built race cars. Let's meet Scott and hear his story.
Well, I'm from Charlotte originally. Went into the military back in the early 80s, did 20 years active duty, retired in 2001, moved back to Charlotte, mainly just because the family's here. Got back into, while I was in the military out in California, I got into autocross with a friend of mine out in the San Francisco Bay Area. I took 4 road racing schools while I was out there at then the old Sears Point and Thunder Hill Raceway. Did a lot of autocross out there and then got out of it when I moved back east. Retired 10 years later, ran into SCCA over here at ZMAX and had to get back in and play. So we built the first car with some limited success. It was a Craigslist piece of junk. We wound up wrecking that car, building this new car 2 years ago, and it's been fantastic. So we autocross it, dial the shocks back soft, throw the drag radials on it, and go rip it up on the drag strip. Pretty good at both. We're not the best thing in the world at both, but you know, if you average both together, we do pretty darn good.
Let's hear some more on the previous car. So that was a Dart, right?
That was a Dart Sport 340 with a 440 in it, and we autocrossed that with a 360 there for a little while. We got pretty good with it, and then we got a wild hair up our rear end, wanted to put a 440 in it, and ran some national events with that. Did pretty good. Had a little accident in the street out in front of my house a couple years ago. Throttle stuck, ran into a neighbor's truck, had to buy him a new truck. And then you can see through the book later on where we built this new car in 7 weeks from that accident. So this is where we built the Duster 2 years ago, starting in June. We had an accident in an old car. It was an A-body Mopar. We all of a sudden needed another car, so we bought the this orange body right up the street from Noah Strickland, which is a drag racer, local drag racer. He had it in front of his shop. Many people knew it there. They drank many a beer around it. So this was in June. We bought the body from him without a nut bolt, anything in it. It was basically bare. Over 7 weeks, we built the car back up. And I'll just roll through the photos. It was already cut out for tubs, so we put full tubs in it. There's the old wrecked car off to the side. So we were moving parts from one car to another. So it sped us up a little bit.
You're able to salvage the whole driveline pretty much, right?
Engine, tranny, rear end, you know, everything came over. The roll bar we actually cut out of the old car and had to re-weld it back in the new car. In the process, we painted, refinished, knocked out dents, cut out rust, built the car back up. 7 weeks later, we were racing at ZMAX again, doing autocross. There's the 440 that we put in it. That was a fresh 440 with a 727 rear end, 12-gallon fuel cell in the rear, right out of the Summit catalog, aluminum radiator. And as you can see, the body coming together, fenders getting on. And then we're getting ready for paint. There's the first coat of primer on the car, and then boom, now we're glossy black, pretty paint. We paint right here in the shop. We do everything right here. So there's the car coming back together after being painted. My wife took all these pictures for me without me knowing, and then gave me this book for my birthday, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So this is August 15th, 2018. We were back at ZMAX for the first autocross. The car did pretty good. We've been working on it ever since. There's some pictures on course. We weren't done and happy with the paint just yet, so we ordered some stripe kits off of eBay, some custom stripes. Put those on, and boom, there's the car nowadays. And then we had some custom numbers made that are on it now for the 33 Cam T.
Are there any significance for the numbers?
The number is we picked 33 because we're big Harry Gant fans.
Okay.
So 33 was his number. He used to drive bare knuckled out there on the NASCAR track, and we love that.
And when you say we, you guys are a family shop, right? Everybody participates in building these cars, right?
Right. My wife is out here. She's my dirty girl. She gets under and changes engines, and we like to see her come out from under the car all greasy. But my neighbor up the street, Randy, he's my crew chief. He's the ultimate critic, so he's always in there looking and poking and saying, hey, you should do this. Hey, you should do that. He's a past circle track racer from out in California, so he really knows a lot. And when we go to the track, they're out there with the clipboards and the pyrometer and the tire pressure gauges, making sure that we're getting the most we can out of what we got. So it's a lot of spit and polish to get faster and faster and faster. It's just a lot of working at what you have and getting the most out of it.
Going back to the accident, were you injured?
Well, I was a big dummy we were getting the car ready for an SCCA event at ZMAX, which is literally 3 miles from here.
SCCA autocross.
Yes. And so we were testing the car, and the throttle got stuck wide open. And we ran into a neighbor's truck. My big old dummy wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so I banged my head pretty good. I'm lucky to be here. So ever since then, we took a ride in the Duster a while ago, and I told Scott, the first rule I have is I put my seatbelt on because I wasn't wearing one that day. That rule I do not break anymore.
Did you have a concussion or anything?
Yes, I had a pretty bad one, concussion. I didn't go to the hospital, but it was pretty good.
Man. So how long did you have that dart?
I had the dart sport for about a year and a half that we were running that. We were actually second in points at the time.
In Central Carolina region?
Central Carolina in the cam class. We were running the point series all year. We were second when I had the accident. We wound up 7 weeks later. We missed 2 events. Came back. We were 5th in points and finished the season, I believe, in 5th. Ever since then, we've been real successful. We've done several national events with the SCCA over at ZMAX. We did a lot of drag racing in the last year. So far, we're in the low 11s in the quarter mile, which we're really happy with that. So, and then we've done a couple national events where we actually got a spot in Carcraft magazine from one of those because we beat up on some factory boys. We weren't supposed to, but we beat up on them anyway.
Nice. So for those who don't know, what does CAM mean?
CAM is the SCCA, Sports Car Club of America, Classic American Muscle Car class. So there's 3 parts of it. CAM T is for traditional. I believe it's like mid-50s to the late 80s, early 90s cars. CAM C is contemporary, so it's like the early 90s on up to modern. And then CAM S is for the 2-seater Corvettes, Vipers, those kind of cars. So it's American-made, V8, front engine, rear-wheel drive. It's a class for SCCA.
And CAM allows for a lot of modifications, right?
Oh yeah, the sky's the limit. That's the thing, is it's like a no-rules class. So high horsepower, big tires, as big as you can get in there and put it down. So that's the name of the game. There's still some local guys that we chase nowadays that are still quite a bit ahead of us, but we keep trying. Yeah, we've gotten many national champions in that class that run with us. So we're fortunate to chase the fast guys, and that makes you faster, you know. Find a guy faster than you, do what he does.
Obviously you like Mopars. Why do you like Mopars so much?
Well, I went out and watched the first autocross here and learned about that CAM class, the Classic American Muscle Car. Mustang, Camaro, Mustang, Camaro, 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 Mustang. Maybe a Challenger every now and then. I can't do the same thing everybody else did, so we decided we're going to go Mopar. And we did a little bit of research and we found out, oh, an A-body Mopar is actually pretty fast and it's pretty light. It's one of the smaller cars that they made with a V8. So we kind of fell into the Mopar crowd, and somehow I wound up with a Porsche. I'm not sure how that happened, but always wanted one, so it's going to be my new toy for a while on the road course.
Why don't you give us the details on the Duster?
So the Duster is a 72 Duster, which is considered a Mopar A-body. They were never factory offered with a big block. They were always a small block engine or a slant six. So we did some research, found out you can put a big block in there, and actually it works pretty well. And it's a deadly weapon when you do. So we found a 440 big block for sale that was just freshly rebuilt. Got it for a song and a dance. Put it in, and we've been tuning on it ever since, trying to make it go fast. So we've done the Holly Sniper intake, the new one that looks like a carburetor. It's like a 4150 carburetor. We have the Autobrock air gap intake, Autobrock E Street heads right out of the box. We haven't done a thing to them. TTI headers. We spent some money on some nice headers that are the ceramic coated, full length headers from TTI, which are about the best thing you can buy for a Mopar.
Are they designed for putting a big block in an A-body?
They are, and they're very specific. The other thing that we did was we put in a quick ratio steering box that made the power steering much faster. That helped a lot on the autocross course when you were trying to throw the car left and right. On the drag course, it didn't really matter. And then wheels and tires is pretty much it. The rear end on the car is kind of different. It's actually out of a B-body Mopar, so it's 3 inches wider than the A-body. So in the old days, we ran spacers, an 1.5 inch spacer behind each wheel. Now we don't have to do that. So we've got an 8 3/4 rear end in the back. It's a B-body rear end. You can bolt it right up to the leaf springs and go to town.
So it's still got the stock leaf springs?
Yep, it's all stock leaf springs. The front torsion bars are still there. We're still using those. We're using the biggest ones that you can get. They're like a 109 bar. And torsion bars are not a bad thing. A lot of the Porsches run torsion bars for years and years and years. And they ran really well on road courses with those. And these A-body Mopars will corner pretty good for a 3,000 pound car. They move it.
What about the roll cage in the car? Did you build that? Is there any spec on it?
That roll cage actually came out of a Honda Civic. So it came up for sale on Facebook. We bought it, we cut it, chopped it, made it into what we want it to be, fitted into the car, and then welded it in. So it's 8-point, actually out of a Honda. So it's not actually made for the car, but it works, and it stiffened the chassis a bunch, and that's what we were looking for.
Nice. What about the transmission?
The tranny is a Mopar 727. It's nothing special. We just run a 2500 stall converter, so we can do both drag and road course and autocross. We're kind of shooting for the ultimate street car kind of thing, where it does a little bit of everything really well. So it's a stock 727 transmission with a manual valve body in it. So it's got a reverse manual valve body, which means it doesn't shift anymore by itself. You have to shift the gears manually, just like you would in a manual car. But it stays in whatever gear you put it in, it stays in that gear until you shift it. So now on the drag strip, I can run it and I can shift it whatever RPM I want. I just hit it to the next gear when I get to the RPM. Works great.
And when you ran nitrous, did you do progressive or wide open?
It was a plate system that we ran. It was just a simple plate system from Summit. We ran a 10-pound bottle in the trunk. We had a pressure regulator and a thermal blanket to keep the bottle up to temperature. So we had a pressure switch that would run the heater bottle, the bottle heater, and then to activate the system we had 2 switches, one on the wide open throttle on the carburetor and a button on the steering wheel. So as I came up to the line, I would purge to make sure my pressure was in the 850 or 950 to a 1050 range. Usually you want it right at, I ran at 950 is what I tried to do all the time. So when the car comes up and purges, they're not showing off, they're bleeding the pressure down to the exact pressure they want for the run. And then I would just push the button, stage the car, and when I hit full throttle off the line, it would activate the nitrous. And we ran a 100 shot most of the year last year. Did pretty well with it, but it's kind of like playing with dynamite, you know.
Let's talk about the tires on the car. So you're running a square setup, right?
For autocross, we're running the BF Goodrich 315 Rival. It's a Rival R1, I think, 315 size all the way around. 18-inch wheels. And then for the drag strip, we run skinnies up front and Mickey Thompson drag radials.
Did you have to modify the welds at all to fit those 315s on all four corners?
We did a little whittling here and there. When we built the car in the back, it's got full tubs, so it doesn't matter. Up front, we had to trim the front and the back of the fender maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch so that the wheel could turn in and out without hitting and rubbing on the fender. So we trimmed a little off of that. Other than that, no, it fit right in there.
So you're currently building a new track car, right?
I am. So while we were out in California playing autocross and taking road racing classes at Sears Point, I had a military buddy that had a 928 Porsche. And I chased him around Sears Point for a couple of different classes. So several different days I chased him around, and I wanted one ever since. So I just found a 1981 928, basically out of a field in South Carolina. We drug it home. We just finished painting it. We're working on getting it maintenance done on it. We've already got wheels and tires. We're looking at shocks and a few more things, and then we want to make a track car out of that. So that'll be our road race setup, and then the Duster can play drag race 100% of the time. And I think we'll have a lot more fun having two toys that are totally different specialties. And also the 928 Porsche can very easily be LS swapped. So as soon as we can blow this motor up, we're gonna look for an LS and put an LS in it, and then we'll be a German Corvette chasing the Hellcats around and giving them a lot of trouble.
Are you planning on a cage, suspension mods?
Yeah, we're gonna put a roll bar in it. Right now they make a 4-point roll bar from the SCCA. It's approved for the car. We've already got that. We haven't put it in yet. We're gonna do new coilovers all the way around, new bushings all the way around, sway bars. We've already got the wheels and tires. We're gonna do a brake upgrade on the front. It's called a big brake upgrade for the 928. And then we're gonna go out and see what breaks. So we'll run it as hard as we can and see what breaks on it.
When do you think this will be ready?
We're hoping we've got another month or two, so September, October, we're looking to have it out. CMP or somewhere here, and there might be a track night in America on the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway in September. So we will be there to play. We may not be completely ready, but we'll be there to play one way or the other. So I think it'll be a good shakedown for it.
So we see this Dodge truck with beautiful patina behind you. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been trying to get my wife into motorsports for the last couple of years. She's actually more of an angry driver than I am. And I thought if I bought her a toy that I might be able to coax her into driving it on track. So we found this 62 Dodge down in Charleston with a 440 in it. And I was like, that's something I need to have. So we got it. It had the old original front suspension on it, which is I-beam suspension with the regular shocks and springs, which was horrible on the road. It was worse than driving a school bus. So we brought it in the shop last winter, cut the front frame off, welded in a Crown Victoria front end on it. So it's got power, rack and pinion, it's got modern shocks and sway bars, it's got just a whole modern front end on it. And then bolted the 440 back in it, and now it's like a 440 powered skateboard. It's a lot of fun. So we're thinking we might try it on the autocross course at some point, or maybe bring it out to CMP maybe one day. You don't see too many 62 Dodges running around on a track, but it's a barrel of fun, and it's my wife's toy, so I have to ask her if I can borrow it.
And you're running a pretty wide tire setup there. What are you running?
Yeah, the Dodge truck has actually got my other set of autocross wheels and tires on it, which are the 315 Rival tires all the way around in a square setup. The same thing that's on the Duster right now, which we autocross the Duster with. It's a little bit less power, but the truck's lighter, but it's a whole bunch of fun to drive, especially when you go to Lowe's. People turn their head and look at it. They've never seen one before. So And it's a burnout queen as well. It loves to lay rubber down wherever it goes. So, barrel of fun.
So, in addition to autocross, you've done track days on road courses before.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what cars you've taken on a road course and what are some events you've done.
Well, I started off back in the 90s. I was running autocross out in the San Francisco Bay region. Back then, it was F Stock, which was the American car class, and then E Street Prepared, which was a more prepared class for like Trans Ams and Camaros and Mustangs. So on the weekends, my buddy and I would go to take track classes at Sears Point. So I did 4 classes at Sears Point. I was real close to getting my national competition license for road racing. I took another one up at Thunder Hill up in Sacramento, which SCCA owns. And all I needed was a final checkoff to get my competition license for road racing. And then I got transferred to Charleston, South Carolina, where there was nothing going on. So I kind of fell out of the sport for 10 to 15 years until I came back and heard about it at ZMAX. So we're kind of starting over. But now we're getting into track days again, and I really enjoy that. So we did Carolina Motorsports Park last fall. The car did okay. I definitely needed some more things to be able to stand up to the road course. But we weren't the slowest guy out there, which I was pretty happy.
You want to talk about your beautiful save after the front straightaway?
Yes. So the Duster has the Willwood drag light brakes on it. So they're not made for a road course at all. So the first couple of laps we got going pretty quick, flying down the front straightaway, jam on the brakes, and there aren't much or any. So I threw the car into turn 1, which is a 90-degree left turn, knowing I probably wasn't going to make it. And the car started to spin, so we spun it halfway and then stood on the gas pedal, spun all the way around, and then kept going. Because that's the last place you want to be, is at the end of the straightaway blocking the road. It
was beautiful. I was standing by the marshal when you did that. He said, "That's how you save a car."
It was fun too. So.
And then that same day, you had some fan problems, right?
Yeah, we have parts fly off from time to time. So we have electric cooling fan and 2 blades blew off. So it was unbalanced. The car sounded like it was coming apart. So we go in the pit. So we pulled the fan out, broke the other 2 blades off on the opposite side.
On purpose.
So it's balanced again. Threw it back in the car and finished the day without overheating, by the way. So that was pretty cool.
Very nice. You've done a track day in your Dodge Charger, right?
Yes. Yeah, I've driven the Roval at Charlotte last year in my brand new 2017 Charger. Boy, that was
right?
fun. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2017 RT. And the first day they had the Roval, it was SCCA Track Night in America. So we got to drive the Roval in that with street tires on it, but we were still booking it around the track. About 140 down the back straightaway and probably 60 to 70 through the Roval. It was a lot of fun. So I can't wait to get the Duster out there and do that one day, or the Porsche that we're working on now.
When did you start drag racing? What car did you start drag racing in?
Well, we started with this guy, Scott Hartman from Charlotte, that got me out to the drag strip in the Duster. And we kind of went from there. We found out that the Duster is actually much better on the drag strip than it ever was on an autocross course. And believe it or not, it's just a simple dial the shocks to full soft, put the drag radials on, put the skinnies on the front, and go out and give it hell. And it does really, really well. A big block A-body Mopar with a 440 in it is pretty darn good on a drag strip. So we progressively gotten faster and faster, polishing the car, getting things worked out. The last winter we put the Holly Sniper on it. That really woke it up a lot. Love that setup with the EFI. Now I don't have any more carburetor problems off the line with it bogging off the line or weather changes, whatnot. So now it's all taken care of, it just flies.
Say when you switch from your autocross setup to the drag setup, you said you softened the suspension. At one point you were running nitrous, right?
Yeah, we were in nitrous last year. We were doing 100 shot of nitrous, and along with some other buddies of ours on the list race, the local list race, and several of them blew engines up multiple times during the year. So that made me think I really don't want to join that club, so we took the nitrous back off. And we're still with the Holly Sniper, we're still running 750s in the 8th and low 11s in the quarter, which is plenty fast enough for us. 8th is about 92 and the quarter about 125.
Wow, motor only.
Motor only. So we're this year things are slow, so we haven't been out a lot. But
about what RPM do you launch the car?
About 2,800 to 3,000.
Obviously you installed line lock.
Yes, I have a line lock in there, and I had to get a torque converter that would work both with autocross and with drag racing, so I couldn't put a 4,000 stall in there for drag racing because that doesn't work for autocross. So I found a 2,500 stall converter. With a big block, I can push it a little more, and that lets me still get power on the autocross course and also get a decent launch out of the hole on drag racing. And we're getting down into the low 1.6 60-foot times, which I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
So I think with a little more converter, yeah, we can be more competitive. We're just about lifting the tires off the ground out of the hole. So I think we're doing pretty good, and I'm getting older, so the speed we're going is fast enough.
Absolutely. This thing hauls, as I learned a couple hours ago. So you said you want the Duster to become more drag focused. What kind of events do you want to do with it?
So we're looking to do a little bit more events with the Duster. Over the winter, we're going to try to step it up a little bit, maybe put a Pro Charger on it or something. Try to get into the mid-10s is kind of my goal for next year. We're heading for Holly's Mo Party up in Kentucky in September, if we still have it. Hopefully it's not canceled. We're going to do that this year as we are. And maybe we'll take some autocross tires and do both autocross and drag race at the same event. That'd be kind of cool.
What are your aspirations for times for the Duster?
I would like to get it into the mid-10s, but really more working on me as a driver, trying to get more consistent because there's so many ways to lose. Going too fast, red lighting, there's a lot of ways to lose at drag racing, so I'm always trying to improve myself. The car's pretty good. It just needs somebody that's smarter than it to drive it. We do SCCA track nights in America. We're fortunate. We live 3 miles from ZMAX Dragway, and we're 3 miles from Charlotte Motor Speedway. So there's tons of car events all the time, whether they're shows, track days, charity laps, whatever. So we try to make a couple of the charity laps just to get out on the track and play. And then we also do the track night in America, which is the SCCA does, which is a great way to get on track. We did that last year and had a ball. Working on a couple of cars to go out this year and do a couple of events, hopefully before the end of the year.
To close off, you've got a long history with track driving. Do you have any words of wisdom for somebody that's looking to get into driving their car on track for the first time?
So if you go to any of the organizations that offer you a coach, driving coach, SCCA will do it. CMP down in South Carolina has coaches that will get in the car and help you around the track. Learning the way around the track the right way. Each track is different. You pretty much need to learn every track that you want to go to, and then you can go fast. So the coaches will help you. They're the best way to get on course, get on track, get the most out of what you have. And then as you improve with parts to go faster, you may want the coach again to help you maximize what you have, because the capabilities of the car will be much higher than it was before.
You were a novice chief with SCCA Autocross, right?
Yeah, I was there for last year. Most of the season I was. So I was helping the novices out on the navigate the course and not run over anybody, but yet get faster. So it was kind of a two-part thing, but we had 40 novices a day out there, and it got to be a big job.
I was one of those novices.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, anytime.
Well, Scott, thanks for sharing your story with us today. I've got a little token of my appreciation. This is a Track Shaker Legends hat, which is only going to be given to the stars of the show.
Check that out.
It's embroidered with your name.
That's awesome.
This is the first episode, so you're the only person in the world with this hat. And like I said, it's not for sale. Only you guys are going to get it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Listen, man, thank you for getting me into autocross. Thank you for supporting Track Shaker. Thanks for being on this video. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you for your time. We enjoy it.
Thanks a lot, Scott. I'll talk to you later.